Every morning, we make a blessing over Torah. And following that blessing, we read a little Torah. And what's the text that we study after making that blessing? It's the priestly benedictions. Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. And the question is, of all the pieces of Torah study that we could be engaged in, why do we look at that piece of Torah? And the answer, according to the Tiferet Shlomo, is as follows. You need to know that your Torah study has to bring blessing to the world. It's not just some intellectual exercise. It has to make a difference in your life, and then by making a difference in your life, it makes a difference and an impact on the rest of the world.
The first Shir Chadash program actually took place in a Winnebago. Ian had the idea to bring some books and classes to small Jewish communities on the west coast of America. I did a book drive and helped him collect some of the thousands of books that he distributed. Ian and myself were inspired and gained enthusiasm to try to continue working on projects like that.
At the time, we didn't know what the organization was going to look like practically, but we did know what we wanted it to look like philosophically. We wanted it to celebrate Judaism, celebrate Torah, celebrate unity, and celebrate Israel. And we wanted to focus on the positive, the Shir Chadash, the song of Judaism, the joy of being Jewish, and the excitement in rebuilding Israel, and the passion for Jewish unity. We wanted to focus on ethics and chesed and meaning. Little by little, this philosophy began to take shape in a practical form as well. We started with a shul and, of all places, a bomb shelter.
I remember when we first came to the bomb shelter, there were no lights, there was no floor, it was ceiling, it was damp, it was a disaster. Within a day, there were 20 of us, shpachta, paint, tiles, carpeting. It was a forum for us to be able to communicate, share. Young, old, very observant people who were dabbling here and there with Judaism. Even though none of us were like one another, the one thing we shared was that we valued our differences.
We tried to find new and other innovative programs that might be able to promote our vision of Judaism.
I had the opportunity almost a decade ago to create the first Shir Chadash Chesed Fellowship program.
We started an ethics Beit Midrash, a Chesed fellowship program, a Yom Chesed, a unity Beit Midrash program. We rented a small apartment and threw in 12 bunk beds so that we could always host different guests for Shabbat. We called it Hospitality House.
There was a Shabbat hospitality home that I could stay in exchange for volunteering for the organization.
I also had my office there. It was in a building that was called the Cursed Building, and therefore not many people liked to rent there, and the rent was cheap. In addition to that, we used to have singles programming and concerts, whatever we could think to promote this vision of Judaism.
Corresponding with the opening of that first very small office of Shir Chadash was actually a time that was very hard in Israel.
It was at the height of the Intifada.
One morning when I was home and Ian was in this small office down the street,
I was shaken out of my desk, and there was a bombing that took place right across from the playground my daughter Gabrielle used to play.
the suicide bombing.
That Friday night, we took our services and we sang with respect, but also at the same time with a tremendous amount of joy, with all our hearts and all our soul, at the sight of the terrorist attack, to respond to that spiritual attack, to say, this is a place where Jews want to live. This is a place where Jews are going to come and continue to come. And they're going to celebrate, and they're going to be filled with joy of returning to Israel and rebuilding Israel.
I came to Israel very much on my own. I didn't have family in Jerusalem. I didn't have many friends. And you need some sort of community or place where you can feel at home. And I think I very much felt that in Shir Chadash and the Pear family. They're very welcoming. It's great to have Anglo speakers, making your integration a little easier.
Coming to Israel, especially from the United States, it's a wonderful, warm feeling, but it's difficult. And Shir Chadash definitely makes the landing a lot softer and a lot easier.
After Nachalot, we moved to the German colony part of town, and we found a hall that, believe it or not, used to be an illegal gambling casino. One night, in the middle of the night, it was raided, they were kicked out, and it became available for rent the next day. So we took advantage of that, and in addition to the shul and the educational activities, at that point in time, we also opened up a Gan Yeladim, an early childhood center.
אם השם לא יבנה בית שב עמלו בוניו בו אם השם לא ישמור עיר שב שקד שומר כחיצים מי אני בו כן בני הנאורים
אם השם לא יבנה בית שב עמלו בוניו בו אם השם לא יבנה בית שב עמלו בוניו בו אם השם לא ישמור עיר שב שקד שומר
didn't just have the Gan Yeladim, we then also had after-school activities as well, and continued with all different various educational activities, giving outreach classes to students at Hebrew University.
Monday nights were full, and I think it became a social event as well. People enjoyed coming and hearing. And a lot of the students who went to the classes on Monday night are students who wouldn't otherwise be getting any Jewish values. And I think that was something that the classes offered that was very important.
Working with birthright students when they come in, going to their place and giving lectures, as well as welcoming them to shul and giving them a positive Shabbat experience. Youth groups we began working with.
The counselor came over to me and he said to me, Yona, I want you to know that, as a youth group, we go to quite a few different shuls, and we are a non-Orthodox youth group. However, of all the shuls that we've been to, of all the synagogues we've been to, yours has been the most welcoming and the most friendly.
After we thrived there for 3 or 4 years, we expanded so much we had to move out of that location, and we found a local elementary school gym where we daven on Shabbat, as well as rented an additional facility, as well as used people's homes for all our various activities.
Another wonderful thing about Shir Hadash is you never know who you're going to be sitting next to.
Celebrities, whether it be some of the VIPs, political dignitaries, whether it be the American senators visiting here.
Recently, we've gotten involved in something called spiritual diplomacy.
It's a Friday night that a group from San Francisco was at our home, and this particular group was actually one who was more oriented towards the left. They were activists.
And one of the people at the end of the night, a Native American, began to cry. And I asked him, why are you crying? And he said, in his life back in San Francisco, he was one of the supporters of a mural that they created, which had an Israeli soldier stepping on a Palestinian with blood gushing out of his head. And now that he's come to Israel, now that he's seen the Jewish people at a Friday night service, now that he's sat at our Shabbat table and seen my daughters falling asleep underneath the table, he can't believe that he supported what he did in San Francisco. And he said, at this point in time, I commit myself to never again do that. And not only that, everything that I've done in the negative, I'm now going to try to correct and do in the positive. And that's why I think it's important to bring these groups to Israel and let them experience an authentic Jewish experience, services, as well as talking about Judaism. Let them see what Israel and Judaism is all about. Last year, I wrote a book. We got a little bit involved in the publishing business and put together a very successful book called The Accidental Zionist. Again and again and again, trying to promote this vision of Judaism wherever we could.
Something I feel about Shir Hadash is that the people there take Torah very seriously without taking themselves too seriously. They enjoy humor. That is a tone that I think is set by my husband.
The learning is a constant learning.
Rabbi Pear has a tremendous gift of being able to take the Torah Parsha every single week and make it meaningful to everybody in today's world.
For the first time in 54 years of my life, I'm learning Gemara every morning for an hour. And it's an amazing thing for me to be able to say that, because my background is not one of being an observant Jew. And the nice thing about Shir Hadash also, you don't feel any pressure that you have to do something. It's stimulating and it makes you want to become more active.
After a little while, the city of Jerusalem recognized the contributions we were able to make to the spiritual, communal, educational, religious fabric of the city, and they granted us a beautiful plot of land in one of the most prestigious neighborhoods in Jerusalem, right in the center of the cultural kilometer, close to hotels, close to a lot of cultural institutions, the Jerusalem Theater, overlooking beautiful parkland. And there they asked us to build a center that would help both the residents of Jerusalem as well as serving tourists and groups and visitors from throughout the world.
We're standing here next to a new building that is going to be built. I can envision how your community is going to expand and strengthen Jerusalem. And when I look at the number of kids around here, the number of young generation, this is exactly what Jerusalem needs.